Now, the quadrant we're going to look at first is the one that houses those tasks that we deem truly important and urgent. So, they have a compelling consequence that justifies devoting time to doing them, and there's a time deadline that suggests we should work on them immediately. We'll have varying levels of influence on what's deemed urgent and important. But typically the ones in our domain include tasks that maybe we were optimistic about, that have caught up with us and we really should act on immediately, or we could be part of a project that we're contributing to that's rapidly approaching its deadline. Sometimes the urgency is dictated by others, often seniors in our business or clients, that dictate that we should drop whatever we're doing and do this task. Unfortunately, that's a reality of the businesses we work in. Sometimes there's unforeseen circumstances, something we couldn't predict but requires our immediate attention, or there's a consequence that's going to result. Now, the pressure of firefighting and the urgency of those tasks would have been alleviated if we'd addressed them in the next quadrant, which is called important but not urgent. Now, the tasks that typically sit in this quadrant are those that are important in that it's worthy of devoting time to them, but they have no immediate consequence, which makes them less urgent. So often these are things that look at more strategically at our business. i.e., what are we trying to do? How could we go about doing it? And how effective is our current way of doing things? So that they can be quite planning or preventative in their nature, which all sounds really sensible. But the reality is, when there's no immediate consequence or urgency, we often neglect these tasks in favour of doing something that is more urgent and impactful. Other things that sit in this domain are those important things that are a little more subtle. Building the relationships around us, nurturing some of the people in our team, making sure they're skilled and educated to do the job and future demands. Now, one of the quadrants in which we're going to really focus our attention is that of activities or tasks that are urgent but not necessarily important, or that is, important to us or our key objectives. Often they're going to be quite important to other people. These may be tasks that other people feel are important to them but need contribution from us. We might even enjoy doing those tasks because they're ones that we have a reputation for doing well. In fact, there's some tasks that we think we and only we can do. And this may be because we don't trust others to do it as well as us. Our experience is such that we have that reputation and credibility that others seem to admire for doing it. Often they're certainly within our skill set, but perhaps not our responsibility anymore. Especially if we've moved up or been promoted to a line managerial role. And then ultimately they're ones where we feel we maintain our credibility by doing them, and so we're reluctant to let them go. It could be that we're a bit perfectionist in our approach, and so often we'll spend a lot longer doing a task and getting it to 100% when 80% and a few hours ago would have done. Often these urgent but not necessarily important tasks still have a consequence that someone wants to avoid and may not have any immediate benefit for us. Unfortunately, one of the things that can happen is in the same way that our seniors or our clients dictate something is urgent and important, sometimes there are things that they just don't fancy doing and they, let's say, delegate or dump on us. So it still needs to get done with urgency, but not necessarily importance to our objectives or an immediate benefit to us, apart from keeping seniors and clients at peace. Let's take a look at that final quadrant, and it's one that you'd wonder why we'd even have. Neither important or urgent. So in this quadrant, i.e. neither urgent nor important, we have tasks that are often quite enjoyable and a necessary part of professional life, but they're not that important to our objectives, and not urgent in that there's no time deadline that we're jeopardizing, and it may even be at the time deadline of other tasks. So what kinds of things sit here? Well, social networking is one of those. It's totally appropriate to liaise with other professionals and even people in our personal life. Often we can do this for extended periods of time, and this is what we want to avoid. Also time consuming is time that we use to surf the net. Great for finding information, but often don't you find yourself just getting wrapped up in it and then spending much longer on the net than required? Then there's things like our personal admin. There's times where we just procrastinate about doing tasks and feel comfortable getting on with little bits of admin that are at least filling the time. Those are robbing us of time. And sometimes there's things that we just over-embellish. They don't need to be done to that level of detail, but we go there simply because it's a way of avoiding other more important and urgent tasks. But remember, some of these are necessary, certainly for our personal well-being. We need to have breaks, and perhaps breaks are the time where we can allocate just a little bit of redundant time to tackle some of these things. Personal admin, arranging that squash game, arranging that personal holiday so that we get our personal life alongside our professional life and maintain a good work-life balance. So please populate this quadrant with the tasks that you think, I don't really feel that they're that important or urgent, but they are necessary for my personal well-being.